vouchers, everybody present except Kelly, who is excused. We'll have the March 1st, 2018 regular board meeting minutes. Any corrections or questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, March 6th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. March 6th, 2018 closed session Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. March 13th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. March 13th, 2018 closed session Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Don't know any agenda changes, so. We will now open the public hearing for Michael Ricker Street Water and Sewer Street Extension. Anybody have any more comments? And just so you know, there will not be an interaction on this. We will listen to your comments.
And please, when you give, this is a formal testimony, when you give testimony, please give your name and address for the record before you begin.
Yes, sir.
My name is James Moeller. I live at 806 Hickory Street. I would just like you to all take into account that you're voting to put in and burden the cost on a group of homeowners that see no benefit to the project that you're proposing. We are all happy with what we have. Look around, we've got an incredible showing, and none of these people are here because they want to see this extra little piece of street go in, and they want to kick out some money to pay for something that somebody planned 17, 18 years ago that never went in and doesn't have a significant benefit to any of us. All right, so keep that in mind, that you are voting, you're our representatives, and you're supposed to be voting in our best interest for something that we don't want, don't need, and doesn't provide us a benefit. I would just like you to all keep that in mind as you decide to pass your votes.
Anybody else?
Jeff Meyer, 820 Hickory. Jeff Meyer, 820 Hickory Street. I agree with what he said. Nobody wants that road in there. Why can't we just leave it the way it is, save the village some money? There's no benefit to having that road there. That's it.
Same as what they're saying, just because Bob says that it's going to be a benefit, he did not in any way prove to us that that would be a benefit. I could say that it would be a benefit to put a road behind his house because it might alleviate five cars off of Highway 15, which really would be a benefit if we could do that. On the other hand, just because we can do that, and just because you have paperwork that says it can be done, does not mean that it has to be done. I just received a newsletter that you're telling us that we don't have money to send out the newsletter anymore because it's too expensive, and now you want to go build a street that don't need to be built and nobody wants it to be built. And we were told it's a benefit to us, and we still haven't been seeing that. My name is Tom Banker, and I'm 203 Greendale Road.
Anybody else? Brian?
Brian Parker, what you want for an address. We're representing, the 5 lots on Michael Richter Way there. I just want the board to know that as the developer, we have no desire to put that road in. My preference, like I said before, my preference would be to sell the land to the property owners to the south and then just be done with it. That's our preference as the developer.
Yes?
Martha Harlow, 217 Howard Drive. I'd just like to agree with what Jim has said, and that to remind you all that you're working on our behalf, and that you should that you need to take our thoughts into consideration. My biggest concern about this is the significant amount of traffic that will be coming through our neighborhood. We have a very young neighborhood. We have probably 60 kids that go freely from one end to the other, and then we'll all have to stop. We will no longer know who's going through our neighborhood. We will no longer know how fast they're driving. I have people that slow down because they know when they turn the corner, our kids are playing there. That's all gonna end. And that's frightening. I'm shaking because that frightens me that bad.
Gentleman behind there.
Brian Rassack, 801 Michael Richter Street. Again, I want to echo everyone else. This, you refuse to show any value whatsoever. You did not do your homework. You said that our traffic flows are going to be relieved. Bob is very adamant of that, although I don't know if he's ever even been in our neighborhood. We have a very tight-knit neighborhood. We have tons of kids, which you obviously don't believe either, that kids are running around and we don't have to worry about traffic. We also, you guys are elected officials, you need to be fiscally responsible. There is nothing being fiscally responsible about spending $60,000 on a road that does not need to be needed there. None of us want it. There is no benefit to this whatsoever. And until you can prove, although you don't want to do that, maybe we could have a discussion. But if you do traffic studies, if you ask the fire and emergency vehicles or what their preference are, or if there's going to be added benefit to them. Also, because you legally have the ability to do something, specifically 17 years ago, you need to sit back and relook at things. There are plenty of laws that are in place or ordinances that were passed that may have had a need at one point. This no longer has a point whatsoever. That's all I have to say.
Jill Yakovich, 210 Emily Way. I am a brand new owner to this area, and I guess I was shocked because the previous owners were told that I was supposed to be notified of this. And I did question and I emailed, and one of you emailed me back, I'm not for sure who did, and said, thank you, and said that it's there, that you can look this up at any time. If you're not aware of what to look up, we looked at over 60 houses from New London all the way to Appleton. And we chose Hortonville, we did. And we like this little community that we came into. And we love the little area that we bought into. But I don't feel that I'm responsible for something that was passed 17 years ago. So I don't know all the laws and the legalities and everything. And I appreciate you spending all of your time to look into this and to hear us. So I appreciate that. But my question to you is, will this ever go away? Can we ever make this document go away? Or if I decide to spend the rest of my life at 210 Emily Way and it doesn't pass today, then in another 5 years, I'm going to be right back here again. And in another 10 years, I'm going to be back here. When do these ever go away? Isn't there an ever ending to these? And how, if we decide to sell now, the previous owners never told me about this. What right do I have to tell them about them? I even contacted them because we bought from the owner, not from a realtor, and I said, whoa, what is this? It states in this letter, you were supposed to tell me about this. You did not. Am I supposed to now go against you? Do I have to get a lawyer now and say, if I have this bill, you're responsible because you didn't notify me? And then I get a letter that when I state and ask questions saying, no, that's your right as an owner that you should look into this. Well, I've never heard that. I've owned houses before. I've never went and looked to see if there was paperwork from 17 years ago. So I'm a little bit confused of all of this. And maybe because I'm new, I don't know if there's a Hortonville paper. I'm sorry, people. I just don't. I don't work in Hortonville. You know what I mean? I don't know. All of a sudden today, we get this orange letter I knew about the meeting at 6:30. You know, I don't live here in town, and all of a sudden this orange letter saying, nope, it's at 5:30. So all of a sudden I get home at 5:06, I'm like, oh my God, babe, get in the car, let's go. We're missing the meeting. It's very, very frustrating, and I don't want to be frustrated. I don't. I understand you have a huge decision to make, but I don't feel you're going about it the right way. Because I wasn't here for the meeting that was all stated before. So I'm sorry if I repeated things. I understand you have a huge decision to make, but you need to make the right decision.
I just want to go on record and clarify that the email that I sent in response to that was that it should have been located within the title work, not that somebody should have found it on their own, that it was part of the title search.
There was nothing in our title work. We went back.
I don't doubt that. I just want to clarify that I didn't say you're on your own to find
Oh,
it.
okay.
It was, my response was that it should have been in your title work documents.
Okay.
So,
We have any more comments? Yes, sir.
207 Emily Way. This is kind of tough to take in because I moved out of Hortonville, came back 3 years later. We have pretty good roots in Hortonville, and to say the least, disappointment that we can have as a neighborhood that I think all of America is a little bit jealous of what we have. You've heard of what we have. I've lived there 6 months. I've never lived in anything like this. I was your neighbor, Carl. We didn't have this.
No, it's nice over there.
It's unbelievable. So to sit here on a town that I wanted to come back to and see decisions being made like this, that's tough to swallow for no benefit. So we talk about running people out of a community. Holy smokes, you guys are in charge, you're elected on our behalf. These are your decisions you're making. Poor, very poor.
Any other comments? Can I read the Andy's email?
yes.
Hey, thank you. Jordan Kirshner, 209 Howard Drive. I'm also new to the area, new to the neighborhood. You know, I'm looking at the information that you have here on this. I'm in full agreement with everyone here. There's no benefit to those that you're burdening with this cost. There's no benefit to us. What it looks like is you're making, like what everyone said, there's a lot of kids running around, you're making it a more dangerous neighborhood. There's going to be so much more traffic going through there. You know, and I just don't see, and I haven't heard so far, and I missed the first part again, same reason, you know, all of a sudden it's 5:30, but, you know, I just would push that you look to reevaluate this plan here, and you've heard, you know, all these voices, you know, I just plead for you, how many do you need to hear from us, or what do you need to hear from us to make this, you know, go away, so.
And I'd also like to clarify that the meeting wasn't changed. It was that the public hearing was scheduled for this time, but we added the other meeting so that the public would have more opportunity. So it wasn't changed, it was added to.
Where was that?
Yeah, where was that?
Yeah, where was that communicated? Yeah, I mean, it was a late late addition because we were starting to get more requests, so we did our typical public notice that we do for all public meetings, and we put it on the website and Facebook. Website, Facebook, and our required postings of all meetings.
And when was that?
2 o'clock. Midday.
Tuesday?
It was Tuesday at 2.
Any other comments on this? Hearing none, I got one more that was emailed to me by Andrew Gitter, who could not make tonight's meeting at 222 Emily Way. He said, regarding the proposed assessment of Parker Heights landowners, note the following key points. The intent to assess subdivision property owners was taken from an original intent as part of a 2001 document. Right-of-way issues were noted as the reason for not completing the road. The village made a decision not to complete the road as part of street improvements, blacktop curb and gutter in 2006.
Question mark.
Art?
Question mark is not a statement.
Yeah, question mark. Property owners were assessed approximately $5,000 for this project. Subdivision agreements were changed after this to remove open-ended language and to require more substantial infrastructure completion as part of the initial subdivision development. Some 17 years later, the village, by way of the Village Voice, notifies the public of its intent to complete the road and to access subdivision owners based on the original language in the subdivision agreement. As it turns out, the utilities for the cottages on Main are coming off of Main Street, so there is no reason to complete the road with that project. Brian Parker has stated that they are not in favor of the road assessment and/or road completion. Brian said he spoke with Public Works Director to register his concerns. Important to note that Parkers have stated their opposition on this in past discussions. Brian said that the net cost to complete the road doesn't cover the cost they would recover in the 4 lots they could sell. Brian said they are attempting to work with the village on ways to greatly reduce or eliminate the need for assessment of property owners. Adjacent property owners, along with subdivision property owners, are opposed to the road completion and the proposed assessment. Our special assessments based on projects that directly benefit the property owner, road improvements, sidewalks, etc., in front of their homes. What is the statute of limitations on something like this? There isn't any. Should all village residents be concerned that this could be done on other projects? What type of precedents are we setting here? Much work has been done to remove the stigma of building homes in Hortonville. Contractors refusing to work with the building inspector, taxes too high, trust and/or confidence in village elected officials, etc. No short or long-range planning, poor working relationship with business owners, school system, etc. We now have a new customer-focused building inspector, greatly reduced building permits, etc. And it shows in part as we have more new homes than the number of homes built in the prior 10 to 15 years. Understanding the need to work within the community to create an environment that people want to be a part of was an important policy. Many have inquired about the assessment, and the overriding village response seems to be because we can. When asked about the likelihood this would be happening if the apartment, would this be happening if the apartment weren't moving forward? The response has been, most likely not. I don't know where that came from.
Carl.
For both an intangible and tangible reasons surrounding this, I oppose an assessment to Parker subdivision landowners for the project that has no direct benefit on these property owners. Okay, I'll ask one more time if there's any comments from citizens out here. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on with the agenda. There are no license permits. Is there any pre-registered citizens?
This would be we have Tom Banker, Brian Parker, Lawrence Steinacker, Ernie Thorpe, and Amy Thorpe.
And that had to do with the earlier session we just had.
What is next on?
Yeah, that's all.
Were you speaking for everybody? Did anybody have anything new to add during the citizens to speak?
All I ask is that you listen to what our community has said, and that's pretty much all I have to say, is just, we've spoken.
Okay, was everybody else was?
Yeah.
And we'll move on to committee reports, Planning and Zoning Commission.
We had a meeting on Tuesday evening, and one of the items is on under letter A under new business. We reviewed the downtown zoning code again, and they made some minor recommendations to minor adjustments that will then be coming back to the board for review and approval. I mentioned to them that we'd like to pursue in the future a institutional zoning district or something similar, I don't know what it would be called, but to alleviate the issue that we have with schools and churches being in the same district as single-family residential. We don't have any meetings set at this point. I should note that one of the agenda items was withdrawn, one of the CSM, so that was not discussed at the meeting. So it's continuing at an as-needed basis.
Any questions or comments for Diane on planning and zoning? Then we go to library board.
We actually have something coming up April 12th from 2 to 6 p.m. We're doing an open house to welcome our new director. And there's some cake. So, come join us. Welcome, Allie. We have some cake.
Any questions or comments for Julie? Hearing none, we have Economic Development Committee.
We have a meeting this Tuesday because we've got we are expecting a application for one of the downtown business facade loans. We're also going to be discussing the, I think what it's called. I'm going to be bringing to them about our I always had difficulty saying that word. Rural Business Development Grant Program, which I'll be speaking about in my administrator report. And then the rest is we need as needed. Tuesday night at 6 p.m. is that committee meeting.
Any questions or comments for Diane on this? Hearing none, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Books, Homestead Holdings, CSM request, all of Northeast Quarter, Southeast Quarter, Section 25, T22N-R15E, Crest Street.
Excuse me, this was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission Tuesday evening, and they made a recommendation to the board for approval. This is a parcel on Crest Street. That's part of it's parceling off about 3.5 acres from a formerly 40-acre parcel that is on the south side of Crest Street. It was rezoned, I think it was last year, from agricultural to R1, so that an acre or a parcel smaller than 5 acres could be created. It's been reviewed by Outagamie County and Carl. We don't have any issue with it. It keeps a portion to the west of it, so that in the future a subdivision may go in, a single-family subdivision, and then that would provide access to that subdivision. So as I said, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed it and made a recommendation for approval. So I'm looking for a motion to approve, to finalize this.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. O-3-18, ordinance relating to the confidentiality of information about income and expenses requested by the assessor in property assessment matters.
During training for the Board of Review last year, they said that it's now required that the village pass this ordinance. It just simply states in plain language that any income and expense information requested by the assessor during his duties be kept confidential.
We gotta have something. We gotta have a meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve 0-0-18 ordinance.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next is R-4-18, resolution approving borrowing to finance the 2016 Pine Street Sewer Construction Project and $200,000 of the wastewater treatment facility screw pump and installation.
I'd like to chime in, those are already being funded by the rate increase in 2016. They're already built in the rate structure. So it's just a formality, so Lynch will get the loans process.
I did look at the rates and the interest available from various institutions as well as the state, and this rate for the 11 years was the best that we could get, and the 11 years was what was recommended during the rate study.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve R-4-18.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. R-5-18, resolution approving 2017 budget transfers amendment.
During the course of any year, there are places where more money is necessary to fund our expenses and places where there is money that is not used. This resolution conforms to the state statute stating that we need to maintain a balanced budget and ensure that we have not overspent in areas. So staff has gone through their budget lines in order to provide for the numbers needed to make all of the budget lines positive. Some of it was achieved by recognizing extra revenues. Some of it was achieved by moving items from one budget line to another.
Does this affect anything in the 2018 budget for the
No, it does
library?
not.
Okay.
None of the library accounts were taken into this, except for the one where the library agreed to go over. And so, as I knew that the village board had done that motion to carry the extra funds.
Any other questions? Not looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve R-5-18.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved. Sale of pocket park on West Main Street.
Otherwise known as Gator Park.
I put this on there because, with Memorial Square on one end and Miller Park on the other, that park, my understanding is we acquired it because of a fire, a destroyed building.
Jack, that corner across, or that lot across there.
Right between Wiesner's and Pork's.
That burned down a long time ago.
Yeah, so we don't use it for anything, other than Carl's guys having to cut the lawn. I'd like to propose that we consider, I don't have a buy or anything like that, I just say that I would like to, have the approval of this board to look into seeing about selling it, either, ideally to have a building constructed there, otherwise, somebody may use it for, say, outdoor dining, I don't know, but right now, it really is just a place for people to let their dogs go, and then Carl's guys have to clean it up.
There's some utility issues with that land.
Well, there's no water and sewer, but
That goes underneath that,
no, well,
Isn't it
you would have to go
garage?
garage. Today's technology,
Hey, we can go over it, sure.
So I'm just looking for, if I got any offer, I would certainly, obviously it would have to come before here, so I don't really need a motion or anything like that. It's just that I'd like to see about actively, considering and entertaining and doing it for potential sale. I don't see any use to it. We gotta keep at least one open because of a public meeting. Maybe we could ask him to disperse one.
Right? Keep it down a little.
But, and let them know we have to keep the door open for a public meeting.
And it does need to be open.
Yeah. Oh. And I'll sit.
Is there any opposition to having Diane putting this out?
Negative.
I don't have any opposition. I think it's a unique piece of property because there's not a lot of back part to it. It's front, so it's, somebody could use it for outdoor dining.
It's a possibility. I mean, maybe we won't get anything, it's just that I think Carl would like to unload it. And I just, like I said, I don't see the usefulness of it other than a dog's restroom.
Because I walk through and it's full of dog poop, yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Any other comments on this? Hearing none, we'll move on to approve recommendation
Is there any decision?
of the committee of
I
whole.
didn't need a motion, it was just that I was just looking for a yeah to move forward.
There's kind of a consensus.
Yeah.
Approve recommendation of the committee of the whole to retain the services of DLP Private and Public Safety Consulting for the chief of police hiring process.
Just, you were all there for the committee of the whole meeting?
I guess after what Al read, and their proposal was to provide certain services, not to include temporary services, that would be additional, in the amount of $2,000, I'd like to make a recommendation, not a recommendation, a motion to move forward to accept their consulting services agreement in the amount not to exceed $2,000.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
I asked to put on, finalize and adopt the events policy. We have been kicking that around for a while, and we're nearing the time where we're getting requests, and we need to have that in place because it's been worked into the budget for us to be able to recoup some of our costs. So we need that events policy in place, or the alternatively, not incur the costs.
And not to discuss, but we saw a draft of that, right? So it's kind of started.
It was more than a draft. I mean, it was in its final form. It's been discussed quite a bit. We were initially waiting to run it past whoever would be in place for the chief, but we really have requests now, and the events are going to be starting. And like I said, this is budget dependent.
Now's the time, yep.
So we'll send out the most recent copy of it, but I'd like to put out this on the next agenda for approval.
Any other topics for future discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to report of village officials. Administrator, East Village Sewer and Water Extension.
All right, and I'm going fast because otherwise Peter's going to quote me. All right, East Village Sewer and Water Extension. We now have 2 committed petitioners, All World Ford and Wolf River Partnership LLC. Wolf River Partnership LLC owns some property in the triangle created by Manley Road, JJ, and Highway 15, and they apparently have been holding onto the property for about 13 years with the intent all along to have it be commercial, and they have been waiting for sewer and water to come out there. So they and All World Ford have committed to being the petitioners, signing it for annexation, and they're both requesting sewer and water. Both of those properties are in Greenville with intentions to develop commercially. In absence of sewer and water going out there, each would intend to drill a well for water, with All World Ford likely needing a high-capacity well because of the car wash. It's our opinion that municipal sewer and water would be preferable to private high-capacity well due to the area being within the arsenic advisory area. While there are precautions that are taken to people drilling wells, typically with high-capacity wells, it puts it off. It doesn't necessarily, the precautions prolong it, and when, the issue of arsenic, and when the increase is, when drawing of water is increased, that increases the likelihood of arsenic. So it really, it would be most beneficial to have sewer and water out there to protect the existing wells. McMahon has conducted a feasibility study and has determined that it is feasible to extend sewer and water to the locations. We intend to pursue a community development block grant for public facilities for economic development grant proposal from, with MSA. We are going to be bringing that forward to the board for approval because we have asked them to give us a proposal, because the requirements of the grant, I think we have a very good likelihood of getting it. However, you have to track the jobs created and the income of those jobs over a period of time, and administratively, we just don't have the capacity for it. We will meet with the Department of Administration staff to determine our eligibility, and if eligible, then we'll propose retaining MSA for grant application, and if awarded, for grant administration. Now, that's regarding the sewer and water. As far as the potential annexation, Al and I met with the town of Ellington last night to inform them of the village's intent to annex. And then, as I mentioned before, Wolf River Partnership LLC and All World Ford has requested annexation and sewer and water. In order to be successful in the annexation, we would need electors equivalent to 50% of those within the annexation area that voted in the last gubernatorial election. And that's 4. 7 voted in the last election, so we would need 4 people to vote in that area for it. And the owners of 50% of the land proposed to be annexed, or the owners of 50% of the land value within the annexation area. And frankly, I mean, I think we're close already, just with, I shouldn't say close, but we're, have some, 20-some acres with All World Ford, and the other one, the total annexation area would be 53 acres. I will start talking to the property owners now, but we were waiting for the feasibility study. And we knew that Greenville was looking to potentially extend out there, but that process would require amendment of their sewer service area plan, amendment of their sewer service area boundary, amendment of their comprehensive plan, approval by the East Central RPC and by their other agency and the DNR. So I think we can say that's a no. And then on the back of the sheet is the listing of the property owners that we would need to, the properties that we would need to annex. We would have to go down Greendale, even though it's not adjacent to Highway 15, because without it, then we would be creating an island of Ellington, which you can't do legally. And to answer the question immediately, is we cannot do the balloon of, it's called balloon on a string, of the properties that are requesting it with just the road right of way. Legally, you can't do that, plus again, it would be creating an island. East Central Regional Planning Commission regarding boundary agreements. I've spoken to the towns of Greenville and Ellington regarding future discussions to establish boundary agreements and possibly joint planning areas and extraterritorial zoning. Both municipalities are interested in the effort. East Central RPC is tentatively willing to assist us in this endeavor as a 2019 technical assistance projects. He said it depends on how it goes, because he's working on one right now with Buchanan and Kimberly, and he said if that goes poorly, then he might just run and hide and not have anything to do with us. Our insurance carrier for property and liability insurance offers training, and I am scheduling training for the board and management for at a committee of the whole meeting prior to our April 19th board meeting. This is to help reduce our risk of liability, and it also will give us a discount on our official property and liability insurance for officials of 10% if all of the board comes, and additional 5% if all of management comes. So I'm scheduling that meeting to get us to help reduce our liability and to reduce our premium. And I mentioned earlier the Rural Business Development Grant Program. I spoke with the USDA Regional Program Manager, who feels that an application from the village would be successful, competitive. It is a competitive grant program. I'm going to propose a grant request of $99,999 because you get extra points if it comes in under $100,000. And my proposal would be to apply for this grant, and if received, we would supplement our revolving loan fund for business improvement. If awarded, I propose that we would designate TID 3 as a donor and TID 5 as a receiver to provide village funds to leverage with the grant, because our current revolving loan fund is down to about $22,000, and I'm expecting this application coming in next week to be $12,000. By doing this would increase our competitiveness for the grant, and it's in alignment with our initial plans for TID 3 and TID 5. We designated that when we first created them, but we would need to go back to the Joint Review Board to get that approval, but we notified them when we first created the TID that this was our intent. And then I would propose that we develop a new program to be established that would use the grant fund, if we got it, along with our revolving loan fund. So one would be a grant, one would be a loan, and then also private investment, because it just doesn't work as good if you don't get the actual financial commitment from the businesses as well. So I think the Economic Development Committee should meet and create a program that would be 33% grant, 33% loan, 33% private investment. Deadline is April 30th, so we're working on that. Get it passed.
Any questions or comments on Diane's report? Hearing none, we'll move on to clerk treasurer, savings on copier maintenance program fees.
The copier in our office is covered by a maintenance contract so that we get a discount on our supplies for it as well as service on it at a continuous rate. And when there's a certain amount of black copies that are included in that maintenance contract and a certain amount of color copies that are included in that maintenance contract, when we have a quarter, 3 months, where we have more copies of either black or color that are run through that machine that are allowed in the contract, we get charged for them. And quite a bit more for the color copies than for the black and white. We had found that there was an average of $284 that was being charged for the color copies over and above the maintenance contract per quarter. We instituted a program late last year where we were...
I'm going to say Lynn instituted the program.
Where we were more accountable for the color copies. We talked it over within the office to see about where we could limit the amount of color copies. Also had people start signing in for the color copies that they made. Our costs now, instead of $284 a quarter, are down to $64 a quarter. So according to that, we would be saving almost $900 a year.
You think you can get that down to zero before you leave?
And
convert, going from paper copies to village board to electronic.
Part of it is electronic packets as well, so that is more recent, but it does have an effect on it. Thank you.
That all you have, Lynn?
Yes.
Any questions or comments for Lynn? Hearing none, we'll move on to Director of Public Works. WWP compliance inspection.
Yeah, I just have one, but again, what you just said. We had our most recent inspection, they happen about every 3 years. And I just recently passed around the cover page for that inspection. Just wanted to point out the highlighted areas. You can't see them, they're in black because Lynn won't allow me to print colors. But trust me, it says exceptionally operated and maintained. So the DNR, again, we're quite comfortable with the way it's being operated, ran, maintained, funded.
Here, I thought you were crossing that off.
To do very
Trust me, it's very yellow.
I guess we didn't.
Anything else, Carl?
No.
Any questions or comments for Carl? Hearing none, our library director's not here. Bob?
I forgot the police department.
Oh, okay.
No, just wanted to update, our hiring committee met last week for the full-time position. What they directed me to do is, Diane and Peter to do backgrounds, 2 applicants. I'm hoping they can have those done early next week, and then we're gonna get back together and make a final decision hopefully.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, now we'll move on to Bob.
Yeah. I said I'd have that one ordinance here. It's going to be delayed into April. I want to bring both the ordinance and the hearing examiner together with the pooling or the list of examiners to put that together for you, and how that will be built. Okay? I figured there's merit to doing it all at one time rather than piecemeal. That's all I had.
And building report is in your packet. 4 on there, one is a new residential on Gabriel Lane. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move on to presentation of accounts and other claims against the village.
The voucher list consists of deposits of payroll deductions, payments on loans, and vouchers number 24564 through 24623 in the amount of $121,564.85. Direct deposit payroll in the amount of $28,945.69. And water and sewer utility vouchers, number 10268 through 10276, in the amount of $81,918.61. Are there any questions on any of them?
Hearing none, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Communications and miscellaneous business. Blackwater Lake District news. Other than we have a meeting next Wednesday, I don't know of anything else we
That was
have.
it.
Huh?
That was it.
Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and news is in your packet. Any questions or comments on that? Comments and suggestions from citizens present? Hearing none, we need a motion to go into closed session.
Also moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Peter? Aye. We will take